Wham, wham, wham. Somebody call the ambulance. Old Dabo Swinney's wetting his diapers and rashing up once again over players getting paid and the recruiting process. Let's talk about it. How's it going out there today, boys and girls in sporting land? I'm JPC. I'm your outlaw of college football, and this is the home of the Common Joe and Common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. And getting right into it today, before we get into it and tell you why Dabo might need some Vaseline because old boy I think is rashing up from wetting his diaper once again. I'd like to ask you guys and gals to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Subscriptions are always most important. Keep me motivated, as I always like to say. Brings in more of those Common Joes and Common Sallys in the know to put us in the know. Now, getting back to it, Dabo Swinney. You know, I don't know how you graduated from the University of Alabama, man. The way you cry and whine and carry on, and like I said, I'm surprised you ain't rashed up, man. Someone needs to go buy you a bottle of Vaseline or something, some BYOV, BYOG, or BYON, or whatever you want to call, whatever acronym you want to throw out there today, and all your hypocrisy and hypocritical rants that you continue to go upon. Dabo's complaining about the recruiting process and the transfer portals and all that other good stuff, and while there are some tweaks that need to be made, in my opinion, to the transfer portal in order to keep it from being the wild, wild west, Dabo said way back, I think, in the early part of this year, that if the NIL stuff came about, that he would be taking his ass to the NFL, because at that point, if the players are getting paid, he might as well coach in the NFL. Well, NIL came to pass, and Dabo is still at Clemson. So unless he goes somewhere else in the next few weeks, like I was discussing a few weeks back about him possibility going to the Raiders, now he could be going to the Jaguars, since, you know, he could reunite with Trevor Lawrence, since Urban Meyer once again shit the bed on the job. But my problem with Dabo is that he preaches to people and talks about how education comes last now, and tries to pretend like he cares about these players graduating. And we don't know the true thoughts in a person's mind that is true, but if he really thinks I buy that, then he must think, just like a lot of these coaches and a lot of these politicians and people in these positions think. They think that everybody below them in their social status or their financial situation is below them, it must be stupid. Just because you make $11 million a year, Dabo, or however much you're making, doesn't make you smarter, doesn't make you right. Just because you got more money, it does not make you right about everything. You're going to preach about these players making money and people coming in and taking your players in a transfer portal because some of your players may not be happy. And in the same breath, you're making, like I said, $10 to $11 million a year. Now you want to bitch and whine about the transfer portal. Look, man, yes, it's not a perfect system, and yes, it's probably going to be tweaked. But you mean to sit here and tell me that if for some reason Bryce Young become unhappy at Alabama and said that he wanted to transfer to Clemson to play for the BYOG, Dabo Swinney, Mr. I'm morally higher than everybody else, you mean to tell me that you wouldn't let Bryce Young come play for you? You're full of shit, Dabo. I mean, dude, quit hiding behind religion, number one. Quit pretending like that you're morally higher than everybody else, because you're not. If you were so concerned about education being last and you being a teacher of young men, then why don't you make a teacher's salary? Since you want to preach to these guys about not taking money and making money off their likeness or making money off of their fame or their glory, then why don't you take a pay? Won't you take a pay cut then, Dabo? Since it's not about the money and people shouldn't be making all this money, then why don't you take a pay cut? How come it's okay for you to make $10 or $11 million a year? If you want to be a teacher of young men and that's it, and you just want to make enough money to have you a decent house and a decent neighborhood, then why don't you take a pay cut and get paid like a, say, I don't know, a PE teacher? You want to portray yourself as a PE teacher and a molder of young men, then you need to be paid as such. You need to make no more than $40,000 or $50,000 a year, because what you're preaching is that we shouldn't be trying to make money off of athletics and these kids. And these kids shouldn't be trying to make money off of athletics. Yet, these universities are making millions, maybe even, I don't know, close to billions of dollars off of all this stuff. All it boils down to is the money situation. And number two is the power. You see, if these players start making all this money, these coaches lose a little bit of their power. They lose a little bit of their stroke. These players are going to start making, maybe not as much as Dabo, but they're making enough money to where, hey, look, if they don't agree with something that you're doing, or they don't like the system that you're putting in place, if you fire or you lose your offensive coordinator that they came to play for, they can get in the transfer portal and leave. And if they want to go get an NIL deal and go to another college because that NIL deal is associated with another university and that company or university wants to pay them more, then they should be able to do that. It'd be just like me or you out there working. Let's say we work for, BF Goodrich. And another tire company comes along, Michelin, and they offer you more money. And you leave. Does that make you a bad person? No. All I'm asking from Dabo is to be genuine. Stop all this hypocritical, morally high-horsed hypocrisy stuff that you've been trying to preach that nobody's buying anymore. And man up and get with the system and try to work with the system until the system can be tweaked, just like everybody else is. You don't see Texas A&M or any of those teams in the top 5 crying about that, do you? The only reason Dabo is crying about it is because he had the 16th ranked class, and his class is very much off par of what it usually is. And that's all it is. It's power. It's him being in control. It's his recruiting classes not being ranked as highly. And that's it. So, that's all I got to say about that today. You guys and gals tell me what you think about this situation, whether you think Dabo's just being a big-ass crybaby, or maybe you can think of ways that we can tweak this system and have a better system for NIL and the transfer portal. And that's all I got to say about that. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams.